because what your emotions use to decide whether they are in growth mode or survival mode, it's not like the real safety or unsafety that there is, it's what they perceive, right? How they perceive that safety. And you can be in a very safe space, very safe life, you have everything you need, food, house, people who love you, everything, and still live permanently in survival mode, fight or flight mode. And this is probably the experience, unfortunately, of most people in our modern world. They have mostly everything that they need, they're safe, but their emotions are perceiving constant threat, and so they're in constant survival mode. In the end, what our emotions are really afraid of and what's really creating the sense of safety or unsafety, in the end, it's never like the external circumstances, but it's some feeling that we're afraid of feeling. And there's a very good news here, at least in my experience and perspective, which is you don't have to create inner safety, because inner safety is actually your core nature. It's at the core, it's who you are, it's who you really are, beyond all the layers of the trauma and the disconnection. And this is the power, like this is the biggest transformation that happens in this module, in this step, when you're cultivating your safety, is that you become able to completely let go many of the harmful patterns and negative coping mechanisms, the unhealthy ones that you've had for many years of your life, without having to use willpower, without having to fight them or force them. Welcome back to Talk the Walk, where we explore how to walk your journey of healing, growth, and transformation with more success, ease, and joy.
All right, so we're back with the Module 2 episode. It was fun this past week to hear people's experiences and feedback and how the Module 1 went for them. I think for me, what sort of stood out from the past week was the awareness towards the care and want behind each emotion. And in a way, it feels like quite trustworthy to see how an emotion wants to move me, as opposed to having an emotion come up, me trying to figure out what to do with it, and then going a certain way. To be able to trust that the emotion is already heading a certain way, and I can allow it to go there without believing in the story that maybe the mind might have about the emotion. I think that was one of the big takeaways for me, noticing the care behind the emotion and the feeling that the emotions are on our side, that they all have a place to be. And yeah, one of the things that I've been most excited about, though, were these two modules, this one on safety that we're doing, and then the next one on freedom. That was what originally intrigued me about the course. So, I'm excited to see what goes on this week for safety.
Yeah, let's talk about safety today. It's beautiful to see how, from the first module, your relationship to emotions already starts to shift. That was the goal, from what is this? What is this thing doing to me? Please stop. And I don't like you. To, okay, you are something important for me, and you actually are the thing in me that moves my energy and helps me care and helps me live the life that I want. So start to understand their emotions and be open to them, be curious about them, and even be grateful for them. And now, as we move forward there, we start to see, okay, that's beautiful. Like every emotion wants to help me. Every emotion has a positive intention. But sometimes that clearly doesn't match my experience, right? Sometimes you really feel, okay, but then if this emotion wants to help me, it's not really helping me. Like my anxiety is maybe it's not helping me, it's just making me nervous all the time and preventing me from doing the things I want in life. My anger is destroying my relationships. My fear is stopping me from moving forward and taking the risks that I need to take to get the things I most want. And so people start asking, okay, what's going on? What's going on? Why would my emotions that are designed to help me, why would they instead block me and even hurt me? And this is where we arrive to this, to the beginning of understanding this second step in our journey. Um, it's by understanding what's creating this contradiction. So we have like two forces inside of you. We call that ambivalence, if you want to use technical terms. It's like you want something, right? But it's like your emotions want something different or the opposite, and they're kind of fighting. So one part of you wants to grow, to thrive, to be seen, to take a risk, to love deeply and to be loved. But another part of you seems like it's afraid of that thing and it's blocking that. And that's where this conflict is seen. And that's what we're going into today. What's happening there and what can we do to conciliate those two sides?
And how come safety is an important part of that pull between this
Mhm.
conflict?
Yeah, so if you look at like all the times that this conflict exists, it's always between a desire that you have to like to thrive, to go higher, to grow, to love more deeply, to do something that's meaningful for you. That's a core desire that we all of us humans have, the desire to thrive. But then there's like this fear. And what is fear? Fear is about survival and safety, right? That's what the job of fear is. So fear cares about safety, and safety is about survival. So that fear wants you to stay safe, to stay in the place where you're not taking too many risks and putting your survival at risk, the place where you avoid pain, where you avoid, and for us human beings, we are very social. So one of the ways that we can put ourselves at risk is by being rejected or abandoned or punished by others in our community. So also for that fear, that need for safety very often also means the fear of being rejected, judged, punished. And so this conflict, this is the core thing to understand here. The conflict that you experience and the reason why your emotions block you is because they're actually concerned about safety. They're actually concerned about your survival. And so you have, on one hand, you have your desire to thrive, but on the other hand, you have this need that we as human beings have, which is the need to survive. And that's where the conflict very often exists between these two. Because thriving, if you think about it, very often means some form of risk, right? If you have to go out and grow, there's uncertainty, there's being seen, so being the focus of attention, there's investing your time, your money, whatever it is, right? Putting it out, which is the opposite of conservation. So all of these thriving things that we do can feel very risky to our emotions and nervous system, and that's why these are often in conflict. But the reason why our emotions end up, you can be asking, okay, but thriving is the most important thing for me. Why do your emotions end up prioritizing survival and safety? It's very simple because of this quote. I always love to say this quote. It's a very, very famous quote. Everyone has heard this quote before, and this quote is the following: You cannot thrive if you're dead. And the reason why everyone has heard this quote, you cannot thrive if you're dead, it's because the who said it is very famous. Everyone has heard it. Do you know who said it? It was your emotions. Our
Oh, good
emotions said
one.
it. Yeah. Our emotions say it because they know we cannot thrive if we're dead. And that's why if they perceive a lack of safety, like there's not enough safety, they're always going to prioritize that safety and survival, and they're going to block the thriving and the growth from happening. And that's why they always prioritize the need for safety. However, and this is where things start to turn and where we start to see the importance of that felt safety for our emotions. when our emotions do feel safe, then remember they are part of you. Their job and their goal is to help you live the life that you want. And they actually want to help you thrive. They just cannot let you thrive until they feel safe, because then you'll be dead and you cannot thrive anyway. But once they feel safe, they'll be like, aha, now we can thrive. And when they do feel that safety, they will not only let you thrive, they will actually be the thing pushing you forward to thrive. They'll actually be helping you move in the direction that helps you thrive. And so we have like these two modes that almost everyone has heard about, but now you understand where they come from. These two states are modes for our emotions. One is the survival mode, and one is the growth mode. The other one is the growth mode. And survival mode happens when your emotions don't perceive that you are safe enough. And so what they're going to do, they prioritize safety, conservation, staying in your comfort zone, not moving too much, not taking risks, staying in the known, so that you can be safe. And they're going to block growth and thriving. Once their emotions feel that safety, that there is safety, they will get into growth mode. Now I'm safe. I can help Charlie thrive. And that's when, a lot of people feel like they have to make a lot of effort to thrive in their lives. But when your emotions are in this mode, there's no effort. They're just helping you thrive. You're not fighting them or fighting your fears or anything. They're helping you thrive. That's the change that happens. And the core of that change is that felt sense of safety. And that's why our second step and the foundation of all the emotional work that we do from now on is that felt sense of safety. It's what
Hmm.
transforms everything.
Hmm. Yeah, it makes me think of where I just was before this, which was at a friend of mine's house who's in massage school, and he's giving out massages so he can practice. So he gave me a massage, and I'm not used to getting a massage, so it was a cool experience. But it's weird. There were times where it didn't feel safe for the reason of like being unproductive, like in the middle of the day, going out, driving to the other side of the city and getting a massage and coming back. And he was like telling me as he was giving me the massage, like, this is to bring your nervous system's awareness back into your body. And that kind of like stuck with me for the rest of the time. And it was weird, like the perception of safety in the mind versus the perception of safety more in the body was like quite different. And towards the very end, like getting my like weight of my head like supported by him and stuff, like I felt like super safe. It felt great. And then on the ride back home, like still like felt really safe. So it makes me wonder, like, how do we perceive safety? How does our like system know that, oh, in this moment you are safe?
Mhm. That word that you used is the key here. How do we perceive? And this is going to be very helpful and important for this module, for the work that we're going to be doing here, because what your emotions use to decide whether they are in growth mode or survival mode, it's not like the real safety or unsafety that there is, it's what they perceive, right? How they perceive that safety. And you can be in a very safe space, very safe life. You have everything you need: food, house, people who love you, everything, and still live permanently in survival mode, fight or flight mode. And this is probably the experience, unfortunately, of most people in our modern world. They have mostly everything that they need, they're safe, but their emotions are perceiving constant threat, and so they're in constant survival mode.
Yeah. In my mind, like in that scenario, there's all sorts of things that are dangerous. Like to be wasting time is dangerous. To
Mm-hmm.
be enjoying myself in the middle of the day is like, oh, that's risky. Like there's all sorts of things that could make even enjoying myself feel, not safe.
Yeah. It's exactly what your mind is perceiving to be safe or not safe. And the opposite is also very possible. Maybe not as common, but we all know, and those are always like the stories that we hear from the people we admire, but like people who have been in very difficult situations or outside they're visibly, like materially unsafe, right? Nelson Mandela in the prison, Viktor Frankl in the concentration camp, and whoever else you want to choose. But around them, they're clearly unsafe, but inside them, there's a perceived sense of safety inside of them. And they, even when they're in that situation, they can be in growth mode, where most people would be in survival mode. And so this starts to show that this safety thing for our emotions, what it really is about is an internal job. It's an internal process. We, as again, it's something that's perceived, but it's an internal thing. And if we learn how to have that sense of safety inside ourselves, no matter what circumstances are around us, we can take our emotions to growth mode no matter what's happening. And that's the power of this. So that's the question for us now. How, like you asked, how do we perceive safety? And how can we create that sense of safety that allows us to be in growth mode no matter what's happening? And so the way that our emotions perceive safety is like, first, in a basic way, it's like they weight the perceived resources that we have against the perceived demands, right? And when our perceived resources are higher than demands, we feel safe. So we are what we could call in regulation. And when the demands are higher than the resources, they feel threatened. And we are what we call in mobilization or overwhelm. And here we can actually go even one level deeper and separate um, these two areas. So this dysregulation, as I said, there are two levels of unsafety that our emotions can feel. And this is also taken from polyvagal theory that talks about how our nervous system works, where we identify like three main emotional zones or states according to the level of safety that is perceived. And the first one is like when we feel safe. We would call that the safety zone, or let's call it the green zone, like a semaphore. And it's when we feel regulated. So we feel safe. There are enough perceived resources against the perceived demands. And that's when we are in that growth mode, okay? When we can connect, when we can grow, when we can thrive. That's beautiful. But then as demand start increasing and resources start decreasing, we go into a state of perceived threat. So there is a threat. We are in threat. And that's what we can call the yellow state, or the state of mobilization. So your emotions start mobilizing. And this is the fight or flight state. This is the state where you get stuck in maybe anxiety, frustration, where the anger, the fear come up. Those are those high energy emotions. That's the mobilization. They're mobilizing you to fight the threat or run away from the threat or escape the threat. And basically, the goal of this yellow system, the mobilization system, is to handle the threat, right? And it can be useful in the short term, but when it's chronic, it can be quite costly. And so many people are stuck in this anxiety, right? All of the time, and that's being stuck in this yellow state. But then there's a further state, and it's when the threat feels too big, the resources feel too low, too much demands that you cannot even fight it, you cannot even run away from it. And so your system just goes into overwhelm. We can call it the red zone. And overwhelm is immobilization. It's when people go into freezing states. They freeze, they shut down, they disconnect. Burnout is this. Burnout is the result of staying in yellow for so long that it becomes too much, and then you get into red, right? You shut down. So your system has been past its capacity, and people isolate, people disconnect, people become exhausted, people dissociate here, people collapse, people numb themselves. That's the red zone, that's the overwhelm zone when it's too much. So in terms of nervous system, we have like the ventral parasympathetic would be the green zone, the sympathetic would be the yellow zone, and the dorsal parasympathetic would be the red zone. And here's the thing. What we have learned is that, oh, emotions in the green zone are good. Those are the ones I want and like. red and yellow and red, no, they're dysregulated. I don't like them. Here's the thing: if you look at them, what do the emotions in the yellow and the red zone want to do? Is they want to help you come back to the green. That's their goal. So they're actually not dysregulated. They're just signaling there's a lack of perceived resources and there are too many demands, and we need to react to that so we can come back to green and thrive again. But what do we do? We're like, I don't want to feel this stress. I don't want to feel this overwhelmed. There's something broken with me. And so we start what? Resisting them, judging them, disliking them. And that's actually what keeps us stuck in those states. So most people are either stuck in like this anxiety or this depression, which is the chronic red zone, and are alternating between the two. And what's really keeping us stuck there is that we are stopping those emotions from doing the work that they need to do. Because what they want to do is they want to help us get back to green. And so instead, what we need to do is to start listening to them, listening to what they have to tell us, and understand, aha, that is what we're doing here now, right? What do you actually need? And every time the emotion is going to show they need safety, and they're going to show you where you need that safety. And this is how you can start cultivating the safety that helps your emotions always come back to the green state whenever you are what you call dysregulated. The first step is always this: to listen to the emotion instead of like thinking there's something wrong with me. No, this emotion is signaling that there's some stress, something that's being too much for me, something that's taking me out of what I care about, and I'm going to listen to it and see where I need to provide myself safety with so that I can get back to regulation and thrive. So I said that we need to explore this deeper, this safety concept deeper, but for now I'd say that this is like the place to start in.
So walk me through it a little bit. When I was heading out to go to this massage, I was gonna be late, and I'm on a motorcycle, and I'm like trying to get there fast so that I'm not too late for him. Then on the way back, I also was gonna be late for coming back for this. But on the way there, it felt much more like unsafe. The idea of like, ah, shit, I'm gonna be late for this. But on the way back, I felt totally safe. I actually ended up coming back like early, but if I was gonna be late, it didn't feel like as dangerous. So like walk me through like exact same scenario, driving there and driving back. One felt safe, one didn't feel safe. And where's the perception of safety in each of these examples that are the same?
So let me ask you, if you would be late to that first appointment, how would you feel?
I would have been disappointed in myself more than the actual repercussion of being late.
Hmm. And what would be like the negative consequence of getting there late for you? The worst negative consequence of getting there late?
The consequence that has the most juice, like the most fear behind it, would be I arrived there late and I apologize and I'm like shaming myself for it. Why am I late? Like, oh man, like I don't want to be a late person.
Mhm. Yeah. So yeah. And what about what was that also present when you were coming back here? That same negative consequence in your mind?
Um, Coming back, I felt great after the massage.
Mhm.
Um, but no, there wasn't that. If I was late for this call, I wouldn't have shamed myself because we had already
Mhm.
like moved times and everything. And so, yeah, there wasn't that fear of like disappointing, shaming myself.
So that shows it. Like it shows that in the end, this is our next point and main point here. In the end, what our emotions are really afraid of and what's really creating the sense of safety or unsafety. In the end, it's never like the external circumstances, but it's some feeling that we're afraid of feeling. Or for many of us, many feelings or feelings in general. And so this is a bold claim, but every time that your emotions are in that dysregulated state, every time, the thing that's actually feeling them feel unsafe, more more than external consequences, it's some part of you, some feeling that they learned is not safe to have, not safe to feel, that you're going to have to feel if that thing happens, or you're already feeling and you want to get rid of. If you think even about the worst external unsafe situations, even there, what your emotions are afraid of is a feeling that you're going to feel, or a feeling that you're already feeling that you don't want to feel every time. And on the other hand, when you are in that safe state, when you are in that regulated state, yes, it can help, it can strongly con- contribute and help to have an external safe environment, of course. But also, every time, what's the most powerful form of that safety is the safety to feel all your feelings. It's that internal safety. And that's where those people that, that can be in that growth mode, that can feel safe even in the most difficult environments, that's what's really happening. It's not that they feel actually safe, like being in a prison or being in a place where a lot of people are being killed every day and they can be next. It's not that they feel safe there. It's that inside of them, all the feelings that they're feeling are safe and are welcome. That there's space for any feeling, whether in the present or in the future, that's going to come. And when that's true, that's when your emotions feel the safest possible. Because they know that whatever happens, you're going to feel safe inside of you. Whatever's happening outside, there's nothing inside of you that you need to avoid, to stop, to reject. And that's the real thing that's how they work. That's the real thing that they're afraid of. And when there's nothing like that, then they can stay safe no matter what, and they can stay regulated, and they can stay in that growth mode no matter what. So in the end, the real safety and the real unsafety is always inner. And if the real unsafety is inner, then the most powerful safety that we can have is also inner safety. And that's where we arrive at this concept of inner safety. So this means that yes, we it's important for us to create an outside environment and everything that helps us feel safe. But even more powerful than that, we need to create that inner safety. And the thing is, some people think like, it's one or the other. No, actually, when you create that inner safety to feel all your feelings, you end up being much more able to create an outside safety as well. Because very often the reason that's keeping you in an external unsafe situation is an internal unsafety that prevents you from making that change. So they support each other. But this is where we start to get into this concept of this internal safety. That if we can get there, and that's going to be, of course, our next discussion, but if we can get there, it can change completely the way that we live and the way that we regulate our emotions.
Yeah, another way of looking at it, just using the word welcoming, definitely seems like another way to say inner safety. Because obviously physical safety is super important. For me, on the way back of being on the motorcycle in a rush, to not care at all about physical safety, I would totally regret that, But the inner safety is like something just playing out in my mind, the worry about being late. And being able to, the welcoming seems like another way to say inner safety. I have another example, and then maybe we could look at, with this example I bring up, then how to create a feeling of inner welcoming or inner safety. The example that comes to mind was like last week. My mom loves going to Zumba, and so I've been going with her, which I don't know if that exists in Europe, but Zumba here is like a dance workout class that's mostly like older moms participating in. And so I went with her to do the dance class. And I've gone before, and there's like a big glass box with the entire gym on one side, and then all the people dancing Zumba inside. And so people are like watching us, and immediately I'm there, and I'm just like, I don't want to embarrass myself, like in this dance class with all women way older than me, and it's like I really don't want people looking in the glass to look at me as like, what the hell is this kid doing? And so it feels like unsafe being in that glass box, And towards the end, though, it's like an hour long, and so towards the end, I was like looking out to see if anyone was looking at me, because by the end I had like no embarrassment at all, and it was like I kind of wanted people to judge me for some reason, because it had like at the end I like had no kind of judgment for myself. And so at the start, like, it really did not feel safe being in there, because I like don't want to humiliate myself. And then towards the end, like, I felt completely safe and like no problem if people are judging me. And so I noticed a transition with the inner welcoming, the inner safety, from the start to the end of this, centered around like embarrassment. So are we able to create that sense of inner safety? What kind of like practices are there? Like, what can I do in that moment of feeling like, oh, embarrassment, that's not safe, or loneliness, or shame, like the not safe. How do we get to move to be able to feel those while welcoming them, while feeling safe?
The first thing that comes to mind is like, what happens when you don't have that, right? When you don't have that inner safety, and those difficult emotions come up, the ones that you don't want to feel, what happens? Remember, your emotions, they want to help you, like, they want to help you get back to safety. But if it's not safe to feel certain parts of you, certain feelings, certain emotions, your emotions are going to see, that's the threat. So to get back to safety, I have to get rid of that thing that I'm feeling. And that's how, like, all the unhealthy coping mechanisms that people have, all the negative patterns, all the harmful patterns that you have in your life, like the things that you really want to change, the things that really, we were talking about, why do my emotions hurt me? That's where they're coming from. Those patterns, those things that your emotions are making you do that seem to hurt you, or at least disconnect you from yourself, all of them, they are an attempt of your emotions to find safety from something that feels very threatening and is inside. Right? They want to get back to safety, and they learned, this part of me is not safe. This feeling is not safe to feel. Whether it is the shame, whether it is the fear, whether it is even the joy, right, or the pride, they want to get out of it. And so, since you cannot leave yourself, I mean, you can in a way, and that's dissociation, which is one of the things that they do. Other ways are numbing, right? Habits, like all those habits, like smoking, drinking, in many ways, they are helping you numb certain emotions. They're helping you avoid certain uncomfortable emotions. And all of them are just your emotions trying to look for safety from something that feels dangerous. And that's the best that they have. They don't have a safe place to go to escape to inside. So they have to go somewhere outside. And this is the power of finding that inner safety. When you find it, when you have that inner safety, your emotions no longer need to run into something outside harmful to cope, to run away from the unsafety, because now they have it inside. You can get there inside of you. And this is the power, like, this is the biggest transformation that happens in this module, in this step, when you're cultivating your safety, is that you become able to completely let go many of the harmful patterns and negative coping mechanisms, the unhealthy ones that you've had for many years of your life, without having to use willpower, without having to fight them or force them, simply because now your emotions can let them go because they don't need them anymore, and they see it's painful, so they can just let them go. So this is what happens when you finally have it. Now, how to have it? How can we create that? As you asked, how can we create that space inside of inner safety? And for some people, it will be very hard to think about it because some people say, like, I haven't felt safe inside of me one single day of my life. How can I even create that? And there's a very good news here, at least in my experience and perspective, which is you don't have to create inner safety, because inner safety is actually your core nature. It's at the core, it's who you are, it's who you really are beyond all the layers of the trauma and the disconnection. That's who you are. And the proof of this is, again, like, if you think about, I think we talked about this already, but if you think about you as a baby, there's all emotions are welcome. You can be laughing, you can be crying, all emotions are welcome. The thing is, with our life experiences, we have been taught to disconnect from that space. We have been taught that, no, there are certain emotions that are not allowed. So we've have disconnected from that core essence that we have in ourselves. But it's still there. Even if you're very, very, very disconnected from it, it's still there. And the journey is learning how to reconnect with it. And the way to do that is actually quite interesting. You cannot force yourself to get there, because forcing is, again, more threat, more stress. So the opposite will happen. The way to get there is to invite that state, that core nature, back inside of you. And the way to do that is by showing your emotions that your perceived resources are higher than your perceived demands. And this is where that thing that we talked about at the beginning comes in, the key, that it's the perceived ones. So the way that your emotions perceive your safety and unsafety is through your experience. And your experience is happening through your mind and body. So we can do practices that help our bodies feel safe, that help our minds feel safe. And and through that state, open that space and start inviting that nature that is our essence, that inner safety, start allowing it to be there. And at the beginning, maybe we'll have a little glimpse of it. At the beginning, maybe it will even be, and this is an important warning for many people. When you start to do these practices, if you have not felt connected to that inner safety for a long time, your body will react, your emotions will react. It will be strange. Maybe you will shake. Maybe you will feel like scared. Maybe you'll feel anxiety, and all of that is just all the layers of disconnection that have, disconnected you from this inner safety, being peeled out, and you're going through them, but you're just inviting that state. And the thing is, you're going to do that more and more, and the more you stay there, the more that you will be able to anchor in that, the more that, maybe right now it's that inner safety is somewhere very distant inside of you, but it's not easily accessible. But the more you do this practice, it's like you're going to have eventually create a highway there, eventually even live there. But the difference is going to be, like, when you feel dysregulated next time, when you feel like your emotions are needing that safety, now you don't have to go to that unhealthy coping mechanism to escape, because now you know the path to this internal space where you feel safe. And this means that you can regulate no matter what, no matter what's happening. You can always come back to that space. And imagine how life changes when you feel that inside of you, no matter what triggers you, no matter how dysregulated you are, you can always come back to this space where you feel safe again, where your emotions feel safe again. I can let you imagine it and think for yourself, but this is the result of doing this practice. How long it takes, I can be honest with you, like, we have had many students that come um, without having almost ever had this experience of inner safety in their lives. And when they actually commit to practicing this, like, almost daily, at the end of the course, let's say 5 weeks, they feel like they can get there much more easily, and really lives change like that.
So the part that I'm not sure I get is the perceived resources versus demand. So, like, let's say there's an emotion right now that doesn't feel safe to feel, is, I don't know, judgment, like self-judgment, or like, oh, my friends are watching this. Like, what if they're judging me? Like, what? Okay, if that feels unsafe, um, I'm not sure I get the part about the resources and then the demands creating the feeling of safety or unsafety with that emotion. Could you like walk me through that part?
Yeah, so that's the practice itself that we use to reconnect to that sense of inner safety. And in that situation, when you're feeling that, that emotion that feels scary, that feels uncomfortable, in this step of the journey, what you would do is, since you practice it, reconnecting with this state of inner safety, you're going to, instead of having to, hide or go out and smoke or whatever pattern you would use to self-soothe from that emotion, you can go back to that space inside of you where you feel safe, where that inner safety is present. The next step after that, which is what you're already asking about, but that's the third module. The next step is then to use that inner safety to feel that emotion safely. That's going to be the next step. But we take it slowly, step by step. And this first step is just about reconnecting with that inner safety. We need to be able to reconnect with it and anchor in it strongly first, so that then we can actually feel our emotions, the ones that scare us. So for now, this inner safety almost actually works sometimes like an escape too of the difficult emotions, almost like a coping mechanism as well, isolated. But the big difference in the way that it starts changing lives already, it's a healthy one, it's an internal one, it's the real safety that you need. And in this first step, it can feel like you're still, going away from emotions or escaping them, but it's not a final step, it's a step in the journey. So what you're doing is, you are here with that difficult emotion, and right now you are that in that inner unsafety. It's not safe to feel the emotion. And what many people will try to do, unfortunately, and many approaches and courses and modalities have people do, is like, if you want to, if you want to be free and if you want to heal, you have to feel those emotions, those uncomfortable emotions. And so people will just try to bulldoze their way to feel their emotion. Let me feel this shame. But they're doing it without the inner safety. And in the end, it can create more re-traumatization, more inner stress in their system, because they're kind of forcing themselves to feel something where there isn't enough inner safety yet. So what we're doing is we're going first back. I'm in inner safety. Let me first kind of retreat or go and anchor myself in that place that exists inside of me of inner safety. Let me first really anchor myself deeply there. And then once I'm anchored there, then I can bring that inner safety back to the emotion that was the scary emotion at first. And that's why the first step seems like going away, but it's a going away so that we can come back with the right safety. It's not a going away as in avoidance. It's a going away as in, I really want to meet this emotion. And I know that for that, first I need to be anchored in my inner safety. So first I need to go into my inner safety, and then I can come back into my emotion. And that's the difference here. It's not yet about feeling that emotion in the moment with safety. That's going to be the next step. It's first, even this module is about learning how to actually reconnect with that inner safety, with that nature, so that then later you can bring it to feel your emotions with it.
All right. Is there anything between now and the next module where we get to do these practices that you want to leave people listening to this with, to maybe experiment with between now and then, or keep some kind of curiosity towards between now and the next session?
Yeah. So in a way, this is going to be like one of the most important parts of this course, because this foundation of inner safety is going to make everything else easier and possible. So I'd really say don't skip it. And maybe for some people, you can even make the entire course about this. If you feel like that's the most important thing for you right now, you can make the entire course about this. Because if you get this inner safety strongly anchored, connected, everything else that you're going to do is going to flow easily. If you don't, then everything else will feel hard. So if we move forward and it feels hard, then just think to yourself, I'm just going to focus on reconnecting this inner safety for now. You can always do that. There's no rush for you. And so what I'm going to ask people to like be curious about in their lives is all see if there is any moment in your day where you feel like this presence of this inner safety inside of you. Any moment in your day, because it exists. And one of the nice ways to also reconnect with it and strengthen it is to just notice it and celebrate it and feel gratitude for it when it's there. The more you can do that, the more it can stay present in you. Another way that's going to greatly help you reconnect with that inner safety is so basically, the way that you disconnected with it was through, let's say, the way that you grew up. Of course, there's always connected to how you were raised, to how your parents were treating you and teaching you emotionally. And a lot of that teaches you to disconnect. A lot of that teaches you that your emotions are not safe to have. So another a way to get back to it is what we can call reparenting. And reparenting, what it really means is to give yourself the conditions and the kind of parenting, give your emotions the kind of parenting that they would have need to stay connected and even strengthen that connection to that inner safety. However that feels right for you, giving yourself that love, that forgiveness, that self-care, showing up for yourself, doing this course that you're doing, okay, meeting your emotions. That's the process that will help you reconnect more and more with that inner safety. And in the course, we're going to have this guided practice, which we call resourcing. And resourcing is all about inviting in that state of inner safety. We're going to go into this meditation, this practice, and we're going to bring our systems, give our systems all of the things in our lives at different levels that help us feel safe. And let ourselves, as you do that, you're going to like slowly go down into through all the layers into this place that exists inside of you, that is that inner safety, and anchor there. And as you practice this every day or as much as you can, this anchor will be strengthened, and it will become like, again, you're going to have a highway to it, and you can go there whenever you want. But that's the practice. It's called resourcing, and it's exactly what I was telling you about, like about this giving ourselves the perceived resources versus the perceived demands. In this practice, we're going to be giving our emotions in their felt experience, in the way that they perceive life, which is through our minds and our bodies. We're going to give them all the resources so that that state can be invited back in. Yeah, and that's how it works.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited to try it out.
Me too.
Yeah, this will be fun. Yeah, I think I'm totally interested in looking out for that in the next week. Kind of, moments that already feel safe, and like being curious towards those, and times where I just feel like, oh, anything could happen because anything could arise here because I already feel safe. So excited to explore this and do the practices with you next week.
Let's do it. Thank you.
You too. See you, man.
Yeah, see you. Thanks for listening to this episode of Talk the Walk. If you enjoyed it, like us and send it to someone who you think will like it too. We love your feedback and interaction, and you're welcome to leave us a comment or review, ask a question, or just reach out. Lastly, if today's conversation stirred something in you, remember, you don't have to walk this path alone. Our Starsoul Skill community is where these conversations continue, where you can connect with others on similar journeys and access the courses and support designed to help you integrate this work into your daily life. You will find everything at starsoulschool.com, and the link is in the show notes. See you next time.